My name is Nicole Deseborg-Freer, and I am a principal in our Chicago office. I am in our consumer retail practice, and I've been with the firm for 5 years. So really excited to be on the phone with you all today and talk about something that's, of course, very near and dear to my heart, diversity and inclusion at AT Kearney. I have personal connections to several of our networks. I am in our women's network as well as our Hispanic and Latino network. I'm also an ally for our Proud network. So it's definitely something that's important to me and has been important to me since I've joined the firm. So hopefully you'll get to learn a little bit about the firm through my experiences as well as my colleagues that have joined me today. Let's just do maybe some really quick intros. Nadia, can you start?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm Nadia. I'm an SBA out of the New York office. I joined the firm last July, and I'm really excited to join you in today's call.
Great. Myles?
Can everyone hear me all right?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Hey, guys, I'm Myles Lee. I'm an associate out of the Dallas office. I joined the firm back in 2016, so just about 3 years ago now, and I'm excited to hop on the call with you guys.
Louise?
I believe he's dialing in now, so we'll catch him during the panel.
Got it. Okay. Alec?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alec Wobeck. I'm an analyst out of the Chicago office. I joined July of last year, and I am in our solutions practice, which is a specialist group that focuses on analytics and procurement.
Great. Thanks, Alec. So those are really quick intros. Everyone will give you a little bit more about who they are later on. A really quick fun fact, we were all on a project together, which ended about a month ago. So we know each other really well, so this will be a super engaging and fun conversation. Okay, let's move to slide 4. So really, when we think about diversity and inclusion, we think about it in 3 pillars. You can see here, talent, culture, and clients. So for talent, we want to and need to have the best talent. We need to make sure that that talent stays at the firm, and then we also want that talent to grow and develop into our next generation of leaders. For culture, it's important, I think, for us to make sure that we have a culture that is accountable and open, so that way people can really bring the best of themselves to work every day, and that we have an active, participation and environment where employees can really be themselves. And finally, clients, they just are demanding, I think, so much more from us than they ever have before. They want diversity of thought. They want creativity. They desire relationships. So for us, it's really important to make sure we are really maintaining and building and deepening those quality of relationships, that we're collaborating with them on the types of solutions and outcomes that will help them with the challenge or issue that we are there to help solve. And it also helps us to make sure that, the market understands that we are the best and the brightest in terms of, who we are and what we do and how we think. I think it's really, it's obviously been so important, I think, now than ever before, just, with everything that's going on in the world. And so the firm has been really, really active in making sure that we are maintaining an environment where we can all discuss and talk and learn from each other. So one of the things I wanted to mention that's been happening probably over the last, I think, 6 to 10 months, it's a little bit, my timing might be a little bit off because I was on maternity leave for part of it, but our partners have really engaged offices in conversations to advocate, for change and how we think and how we work with each other. And so I think it's definitely created environments where people feel like they're able to be themselves, that they're able to bring, thoughts that they have about what we can do that might be different or interesting, and that there's an environment that's willing to listen, accept, and build on those ideas. So I think it's been a really great time, particularly in the last year, to be at AT Kearney. Let's move to slide 5. So this is a page, to show you that we, obviously are being recognized externally for this as well, in addition and complementing the efforts that we have internally that I just spoke about. We have, women that are in the top 25 consultant list in Consulting Magazine. We have several women leaders at the firm that are continuing to be recognized externally. We also have women that have been named Working Mothers of the Year, and I think that's obviously, something that's close to my heart, and I think it's really important to make sure that, we are, able to be recognized for the fact that we have these incredible women who are contributing, despite, the evolution that is happening, in their personal lives. Diversity leadership, we're continuing to be recognized for that. And as you can see, we have several individuals who have been recognized, John Kurtz and Beth Stegall specifically. And then we have partners and principals who are leaders at the firm, recognized as top 100 under 50 diversity leaders from Diversity MBA magazine. Finally, our LGBTQ+ recognition, we have been named, top 50 out front for diversity leadership. We've scored really high on the HRC Corporate Equality Index, as well as the Garnet Lowell sponsor of the annual Reaching Out MBA conference. So hopefully this gives you a flavor. It's definitely not all-encompassing and all-exhaustive, but it gives you a flavor of kind of what others in the market and externally are recognizing that we're bringing to the consulting industry. So page 6 gives you a flavor of the actual networks that we have at the firm. As I mentioned, I'm a member of a couple of these networks. The individuals and my colleagues that are on the phone can also talk about their connections to these. But, the network objectives are really to bring a level of support that's complementary to the other types of support structures we have at the firm. So there's, formal and informal mentoring that happens through the networks. There's professional development opportunities. There's celebrating, culture, heritage, key events, giving back to communities, and raising awareness. Even if you're not part of one of these networks, I can tell you that you really feel connected and close to them because of the level of active participation that happens throughout offices. So in the Chicago office, some of the networks have sponsored different happy hours, and you get a chance to learn about them, and so it's been, I think, really interesting, even though my world is a little bit more Women's Network, LHN, and Proud. It's really great to meet the East Asian Network folks at the happy hours and then be able to, put faces to names that then kind of, manifest and evolve in who I work with on projects and who I'm staffing for clients that I'm serving. So it's been a really great way to learn, I think, about each other and to understand more of our firm's very diverse identity. So I know I mentioned at the beginning there were quick intros. We're at the point now where we'll introduce ourselves in more detail. And so I think we're starting off with me. So a little bit more about me. I am a graduate of 2 schools, the Ross School of Business at University of Michigan, where I got my MBA in 2014. I was also at Georgetown University for my undergraduate years. I graduated in 2004 from the School of Foreign Service. My personal interests have definitely evolved. I'm still running and traveling, but I also have my 1-year-old son. So definitely in the last 3 months as his appetite's been increasing, I've definitely rediscovered love of cooking to make sure that I'm feeding him and he's actually getting the right nutrients in a flavorful and fun way. So that's been fun. My favorite movie, I have 2, fun movie, Harry Potter, and serious movie, A Beautiful Mind. I could watch those over and over and over again. So my husband makes fun of me that I watch Harry Potter, but I just don't care. I love it so much. And my fun fact is I was a contestant on the game show Where in the World is Carmen San Diego. So that's a little bit about me. I will now hand it over to Nadia.
Thanks, Nicole. Quick question, though. What's your favorite Harry Potter film? Because I'm on the same boat where I watch all of them all the time.
I definitely think the last 2 are my favorite because I think they're definitely the darkest. I thought the first 2 movies were good, but I felt like they were a little bit, a little bit too fun, relative to the books. But I thought the last 2 movies were really, really did, an impressive job of, paying homage to the books themselves. So I could watch those 2 last movies over and over for sure.
That's fair. And they're also very long, the last 2. Okay, so a little bit about me. I graduated from Wharton, I guess 2 summers ago now. Wow, time flies. I concentrated in management and did a minor in French. As far as my personal interests go, I love going to hot yoga, visiting museums, as well as exploring new places. I actually just came back from vacation, and I was in Val d'Orcia in Italy just doing wine tasting, so that was really fun. And then my favorite movies are, my all-time favorite is definitely Top Gun, but at the moment I'm rewatching all of Jean-Luc Godard's movies, so it would have to be Breathless. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I absolutely recommend. It's a fantastic film. So yeah, that ties into my fun fact that I love watching movies.
Nadia, are you excited about Top Gun too?
Oh yeah, I love Top Gun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you. And let's move to Myles.
All right, I'm Myles. I studied accounting at SMU in Dallas. Personal interest is blockchain technology. Favorite movie is A Few Good Men, really a big Tom Cruise guy there. And then a fun fact is I've never broken a bone. Actually, after playing, I played D1 football for a while too, so very shocked that I've never broken anything or torn any muscles.
I really hope this call doesn't jinx that.
Me too. Me too. All right. I think next we're going to pass it to Alec.
Is Luis on the call?
Yes, hello everyone.
Oh, sorry, Luis.
Hey, Luis.
Hey everyone. So my name is Luis Suarez. I'm an associate out of the Chicago office. Did my MBA at Duke Fuqua, and I studied mining engineering in Spain before that. I've been with the firm for around 2 years and have done several projects in different industries. And yeah, other fun stuff on the page. And just I was having trouble joining, but if there is anything else that I should be answering, please let me know.
Well, now I realize, Luis, I'm going to have to ask you about running with the Bulls in Pamplona for sure. When did you do that?
Oh, so after high school, I did a trip with my friends. We went like this Euro trip in train throughout Europe, and then definitely one of the most places to stop was Pamplona. So I was there, and then so this bull thing starts like at 6 a.m. and for some reason I was a part of that. So still, that's why in parentheses you see still figuring out why.
Well, maybe this gives people some inspiration on the call about post-college trips.
Yes, of course.
Thanks, Luis. All right, and finally, Alec.
All right, so I went to Georgia Tech, graduated in December of 2017, so not too long ago. Studied finance and analytics there. Personal interests, so huge Atlanta United fan. I'm in the Chicago office, but I moved from Atlanta a few months ago, and I time my trips back home to see my family with Atlanta United's schedule. So I have an Excel spreadsheet and everything in true consulting fashion. Love to travel, learn new languages, and then I like house and reggaeton music. I went with a favorite TV show. I'm more of a series person than movies. So The Queen of Flow, the show on Netflix. I had a project where pretty much every night I would at least watch half an episode. But there's 80 episodes in the first season, so it's really fantastic because it lasted me throughout the course of the 4-month project, rather than just like binging on a show and being done with the weekend. So highly recommend that one. And fun fact, I took a gap year before starting college to pursue horseback riding professionally. obviously I'm a consultant now and not a professional horseback rider, so it was a good experience, but glad to be here instead.
Always things I'm learning new about all of you guys. Thank you for all of that. So we are going to start off with our Q&A. I have a few questions for the group, which I will start off with, and then of course, for folks on the phone, if you have questions, please send them to Lauren or Emily. When I'm done with questions, we'll see what you all have, and then if it's particularly directed at any of the consultants, please specify that. Otherwise, we can pick someone to answer it. So I will start off with you, Myles. Can you take a minute and describe how the network that you have has impacted your career at AT Kearney?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's impacted my career like tremendously, right? Through either formal mentorship with my my mentor now is in the network, then informal mentorship, right? Before I began here at AT Kearney, we did a professional development forum before I joined, which was an opportunity for members or future members of the network to come together and get some know before you join material. And that has helped me tremendously, like, through review calls and things like that. And then also it allowed us to develop friendships and relationships within the network to where now if I'm ever dealing with an issue, I'm twice as likely to call an AN member and say, hey, man, I'm going through this. Have you ever dealt with this? What would you do? And just get some informal guidance and mentorship through members of the network.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's really important, for everyone on the call to understand that, you definitely have different networks at the firm that you can use. And I think I mentioned at one point, formally, you have your mentor, you definitely have people that you work with and for on projects that become people that you can, talk to and seek guidance and advice from. But our diversity networks are also just a great source to make sure that you feel like you can ask any question that's on your, mind or curious about anything in particular. You can seek that out and feel like you're getting, the real answer. So it's a great opportunity to have. Thanks, Myles. Let's see. The next question, maybe Alec, you can answer this. What do you wish you had known about the group before starting at the firm?
Yeah, so my first contact with Proud wasn't until I had actually accepted my offer here. And so one thing that I realized when I was going through recruiting is that you hear a lot about these different diversity networks, and pretty much every medium to large size firm, has them to some capacity. But what I really wish that I knew was how much the firm these networks actually invest in you and making sure that your needs are met as a member of that association or of that group. It's not just something that we use for recruiting and then it's done there. Like we take it one step further, and as Myles was mentioning earlier, we make sure that you have an internal network where if you do encounter any sort of difficulties that could be related to being a minority, then you have a group of people to reach out with and have these conversations with, and they can help you navigate that situation in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to raise and to note, because I remember with some of the recruiting events that I've done since joining the firm, there's people that I met during recruiting season that I got to know, and so there's relationships that get built that totally carry through, if they get an offer and accept and join either for the summer or full time. I think just people naturally become really invested in making sure that, people are able to get as much support as they can, prior to and then joining, through the summer and full-time experience, and then continuing those conversations and checking in and making sure that, even if support needs have to evolve, that there's definitely groups of people that are there consistently and, able to devote time and effort, want to. So thanks, Alec. This question can be for either Nadia or Luis. Can you describe the most recent event you participated in with the network? Nadia, maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. So the most recent event I participated in with the Women's Network in the New York office was actually a painting and wine class that I helped plan. So I'm actually on the social committee for the Women's Network in the office. And we were trying to figure out, what would be a fun way for us all to get together on a Friday evening and do something relaxing after work and just let all of that week stress go away. So we decided to have a painting class. And what do you know? Consultants are type A even when it comes to painting. We were all obsessed with, making an exact replica of Monet's painting. And at the end, we were just competing for who did the best job, of course, and we couldn't relax. But it was really fun, and it was a great way to, meet some managers that maybe you wouldn't have met otherwise, especially as a BA or an associate, and expand your network that way, as well as just connect everyone together and remind them what makes the Women's Network great. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Luis?
Yes, so the last event we had in the Chicago office was the summer get-togethers. For this event, we invited our summer associates, and we had a gathering in a rooftop in downtown Chicago. It was a really good event to get to network with many people around the firm, and not only consultants, but the broader Chicago office, people from recruiting, finance, etc. So this is kind of the sense of the community that we build within the LHN and within the Chicago office. So it was great to spend time knowing new people with over appetizers, drinks, etc.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like the events that you guys described, remind me, I think I did a cooking class a year and a half ago. I've done yoga classes, and it's just nice to kind of, especially with the week usually spent on the client site, Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Thursday. It's so nice, I think, on Fridays. I feel like both of those events were on Fridays, just be able to, talk with a different group of people and not talk about the project necessarily, and just spend some quality time in a bit of a different, environment, different space. Those are really fun. Thanks, guys. Maybe I'll stop here for a second and see if there are any questions that anyone submitted yet. Lauren, Emily, do we have any yet? Otherwise, I can continue with one or two more that I have for the group.
Hi, Nicole. Yeah, we received quite a few. I'm happy to start us off with some of the open questions, and then we can circle back to our panel questions. I'm going to start first with a question for Alec. Participant asks, it's clear that AT Kearney creates diversity and inclusivity with its networks, but how do you ensure inclusivity overlaps between those that are not in a network as well? So maybe, Alec, you can share some of the things that Proud has been doing recently.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I'll approach this in two ways. One is just, general, how we engage different people at the firm, and I think the other level is, how our leadership has been working on being more active and being more involved within these networks. So the first thing in terms of what Proud has done is, one, we've had a series of just happy hour events at different offices, as well as we have a park initiative, which unfortunately I can't remember exactly what the acronym stands for right now, but I know that recently during Pride Month in the Chicago office, our park initiative was really focused on discussing some of the issues that LGBTQ plus members may face in the workplace or just in today's society, and having an open dialogue about, what we have experienced in our time at AT Kearney, and then really having conversations about how we can try to improve inclusivity both internally as well as with our clients. So that's one way. Another thing too that we've been really involved in Proud is making sure that our allies are much more included. So we have always had this option where allies can opt into being part of the network. But really, the past 6 months to a year, we've been focused on making sure that they are present at our events and that they can really, champion for us and have more of this feeling of inclusivity and wanting to support the network. And then as far as the second portion, leadership, I talked a little bit about the park initiative, but I would say that there's a lot of conversations both internally at the office level for discussing different diversity initiatives. And I know that there's a series of trainings that have been going on about just cognitive unconscious bias and making sure that the leaders at the firm are aware of how that could, impact some of their decisions and making sure that all groups are included and treated equally.
Yeah, I'll add on a couple of things to what Alec just said. Thanks, Alec. So PARC stands for Partners Advocating for Real Change. It's actually a program that all of our partners went through to be, to understand and learn a little bit more about how to make sure that they're fostering environments of, inclusion and being able to make sure that everyone gets support regardless of who they are. So it's been really a big investment of time that the partners, have been more than willing to do and advocate and action. So the discussions that Alec was talking about, the partners have been leading those, but it's been really very much a two-way conversation. And the outcome of some of those conversations have been, in addition to what Alec had said, there's also reverse mentors. So partners have junior consultants that have been, reverse mentoring them so that way they can, make sure that they're, really keeping, a high level of self-awareness and understanding of the issues or questions that our consultant community is, dealing, with, faced with on, a daily basis. So I think, just hopefully you guys have, heard from what Alex said and what I said, but it's definitely something I think that's been actioned and not just, words or bullet points that, we've been touting. It's been really important and a huge investment of the firm's time over the last year. All right. Emily, are there other questions?
Yeah, we've gotten quite a few. Do you want to wrap up some of those panel questions, and then we can switch to some of these questions from the students?
Yeah, sure. Well, why don't we wrap up? I have maybe like 3 more questions. We'll do them fairly quickly so that we can make sure we can cover the questions that you all have had on the phone.
Sounds good.
Maybe I'll ask this specific to Myles. What are some of the upcoming initiatives or events within your network that you're most looking forward to?
Yep, absolutely. The one I'm most looking forward to is the Professional Develop Forum that we put on every single year. This year it'll be in August, so in a couple of weeks, where we bring every member of the AAN, people in the management services, and the consultants together. So it'll be about 50 of us all in the Chicago office, and we'll do a couple different events. One's just a dinner and a little happy hour. And the next one we'll actually work on, the preceding day we'll work on just some areas of development that we've seen needed within the network. And then we'll have my favorite thing, which is a closed-door conversation where we ask real tough questions to our leadership about the future of AT Kearney, right? And any questions on the table, and they give very candid answers. So that is one that I'm really looking forward to. It's a lot of fun. We're all in different offices, and it's always a good time when we can bring everyone together.
Cool. Thanks, Myles. All right, I will jump ahead to the next question. Luis, maybe you can help answer this. How did you know that a career in consulting was a good fit for you and that AT Kearney was the right firm for you?
Okay, so maybe I can answer the AT Kearney part first. So I knew a friend that went to high school with me back in Mexico City. He joined as an analyst in the Mexico City office. And so AT Kearney was the first consulting I knew, consulting firm I knew. I started to get his friends from work, etc., and starting to get a good vibe. And during I joined after my MBA. So during my MBA, I was pretty focused on my recruiting on AT Kearney. Felt pretty good in the interviews and the people that I met in the process. And now started in Mexico City, transferred later to Chicago, and I can tell that the culture is a very special point and differentiator of the firm, being in 2 different countries, different offices, etc. Another part of how I knew it was a right fit for me, I think I am a very intellectually curious person, and I think the variety of projects that the firm does and the different types of projects keeps the job super interesting. And it's, I mean, for me, it started with my MBA, like how I started to see different industries, meeting new people, and now it's been a continuation of that, and it has been great so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Luis. Okay, last question, and we'll turn it back to the questions that that folks on the call have been submitting. So last one, maybe Nadia, for you. How can you get involved or get a leadership role when you first join the network?
Yeah, sure. So that's a great question because when I first joined AT Kearney, I knew I wanted to be involved with the Women's Network. I was on the board of Wharton Women at Wharton, which was the largest undergrad club at the time. So I definitely wanted to continue that, but I wasn't sure how to get involved. And then within like 5 days of joining, you get assigned a formal mentor. So I asked her if she knew how I could get involved. And within a week after that, I was basically tasked with leading our high potential launch for MBA students, which is a launch we do in November as the recruiting process goes along for candidates AT Kearney has identified as high potential. And it was really good experience, you know, from reaching out to principals and partners in the New York office and getting that exposure to actually thinking through how you want to run those events so that the participants get the most out of it. And it's not just learning about AT Kearney, but it's also how can we equip them with what they need to succeed in their professional careers. It was great exposure for me as a new BA, and I definitely enjoyed it. And then through that, you slowly start getting involved more and more. So you get sucked into different events, and you get even more leadership responsibility, which is awesome. So I would definitely say just reach out to people. You never know, you know, who's friends with who and can get you involved. So.
Yeah, so true. I mean, we definitely, thanks, Nadia, we definitely have a culture, I feel like, that's very entrepreneurial, where if you want to get involved in something or you want to do something, there's, you know, no restriction. You know, you don't have to be a certain level or title and as a consultant to get involved. There's always a place to play, and I think that definitely has helped with, you know, those folks who've taken on leadership roles at various initiatives for our firm. It's been a good building block for them. Thank you. Okay, so that's all I had for questions I had for the group. Emily, maybe you can let us know what was the next question in the queue.
Yeah, of course. So like I said, we've received quite a few, so please feel free to keep sending them through. We have about 10 more minutes left on our webinar tonight. But the first question, or the second question that I'll read off from the audience, I'm going to direct this one to Myles, and anyone else, please also feel free to join in and add your experiences as well. But we've talked a bit about some of the social activities. So Myles, being part of the African-American Network, how has this network and these relationships advanced your work with your team and with the clients?
How has it advanced my work with the team and with the clients? I'd say that through the informal mentorship, right, especially when you're new to the firm, you might not know how to go about things in a certain way or set up a model a certain way, or maybe you're having issues with, you know, articulating, you know, what you found in your analysis and putting it on a slide, right? And I think asking the dumb questions to your colleagues within the network is A-okay. We've got a group me, and then anytime I'm having a dumb Excel question, right, or whatever it is, I just ping it in there, and then I'm getting a response within, you know, 5-10 minutes. So I think that has been tremendously helpful in terms of the network helped me out on a client project.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So the next question that we got, I'm going to direct to Alex. So specifically within the Proud Network, how did you keep relationships with other members from across offices? So maybe specifically before you made the switch from Atlanta to Chicago, which is one of our bigger offices, how were you kind of keeping relationships and maybe some of the events that Proud does to manage that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the first thing is that there's a number of events that are organized by AT Kearney. So we have a program called Jumpstart that is for everyone that joins the Proud Network within the first year at the firm that I identifies as LGBTQ+. And it's for all of the Americas. So I was able to meet everyone on basically this side of the world who had recently started with AT Kearney, and it was a 2-day workshop. And then it also exposed me to some of the senior leadership that was involved in Proud. And then from there, a few months later, we had our America's All Hands, which is another large conference that happens every 1.5 to 2 years. So we had a Proud breakout group during then. And then this past May, we had our Proud retreat, which we went to Beaver Creek for a few days to really have more of a informal, relaxed conversation and work on team building. So those are kind of like the larger events. I would say, depending on the year, there's anywhere from like 1 to 3 things that happen that will bring us all together. But then in terms of just maintaining the contacts and those relationships outside of it, one, with people that are, recently started with me. I mean, we have our Jabber, our chat service, so just making sure that I keep in touch with them. Occasionally we might set up some time to talk on the phone, or if we're in the same city, we'll of course meet at the office or meet for dinner and drinks. And as far as the more senior people, everyone has been very welcoming whenever I've wanted to, set up some time to talk on the phone or, grab lunch on a Friday. And the real difference between being in, say, Atlanta versus Chicago is that in Chicago, I am fortunate to be able to meet people in person a lot more. Whereas in Atlanta, I would say that I was doing a lot more phone calls just because of the size of the office.
Okay, great. So this next question, I'm going to have Nicole, you answer this. So we've gotten this in kind of different versions, but a lot of participants are interested in some of the work that we're doing with our clients, specifically with diversity. So how does AT Kearney's diversity generate new innovative solutions to the problems faced by its clients? Have you been able to impact our clients in inclusion?
Yeah, I can answer the question. We haven't, at least I haven't been on any specific projects that have tackled inclusion with our clients. But, I think with all the projects I've been on, I've been fairly lucky over the years that I've been on larger projects. And for us at the firm, that's about 20 plus consultants. I think the biggest one I've been on is about 50 to 55. And so just off the bat, that number creates diversity of thought and creativity. But we also, we are, quote unquote, sourcing the consultants for those project teams from different offices. And I think over the years, we've definitely wanted and have, actioned, making sure that we're bringing a diverse team to handle client questions. Specifically, I've worked on some clients that are media that have specific segments, whether it be, women or other groups. And so frankly, it's very difficult when you work with clients that are hitting a particular, demographic or a particular niche audience. It's difficult to bring, a team that isn't diverse to help, tackle those problems. They're just by nature more interesting, and the challenges are more fascinating, but you really need the whole of, the firm's thinking to really tackle how we're going to approach solving those problems. And so, I think especially with our recent project, I mentioned all of our panelists were on that project with me. And so, we had a lot of different senior leaders. We had, senior female leaders. And so, having a diverse group of consultants meant I think we could really handle any challenge that they were throwing our way, and we could, work together to solve those. So yeah, I can't really talk about projects super specific, but I've worked on a couple of other ones. Another one that was higher education, and even the leadership of that, it was the university system, was very diverse, and they wanted to make sure that they were really game-changing how they were going to prepare for the future. And so they loved the fact that we had, a diverse group of consultants. We had an all-women leadership team of partners and principals, which I think that was really resonated with them, that we were bringing something different than maybe the previous consultant firms they had worked with. Just with that statistic alone, they were very impressed with us, and we had, I thought, a really excellent quality output that helped that client think strategically about the future. So yeah, those are just a couple of examples that come to mind. Hopefully those help.
Perfect, thank you. And I think we have time for one last question. I'm going to have everyone on the panel answer it. So heading into the recruiting season, can you each share one piece of advice to help students stand out from other applicants? So I'll have Nadia start out with this, and then we will go down the line here.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Emily. So the one piece of advice I would offer is make sure you do your due diligence. I remember when I was going through the recruiting process, it can get so overwhelming with, all the firms sending you emails all the time and having all of these different events and webinars. So I would say try to participate in as many as you can and ask insightful questions that will really help you get to know the firm and actually evaluate whether this is a good fit for you. Because then if it is a good fit, you can ask to learn more, and that's how you stand out. Like, you reach out to more people, you learn some of the lingo we even use internally, right? And that is really what differentiates you from somebody who's just attending one more Kearney event.
Myles, you want to share something?
Yep. So I think what we're looking for is passion and intellectual curiosity. And I think the passion can come out, especially in the behavioral part of the interviews, right, where you're talking about, hey, why do you want to do consulting, right? I think having a solid answer for that can be very, very helpful. And it may take some internal conversation with yourself to say, hey, why do I want to do this? And why do I want to be at AT Kearney specifically? Because I think we're unique compared to our peers, right? And then intellectual curiosity comes out as well to that in the case interview as well. Like, hey, we're in client service, at a client service environment. So we need to be curious about what's going on at our clients, right? And how can we help them quickly, right? So I think those two things can really separate you from the pack.
Yes, I will also add in terms of the casing to be, I would recommend to be very prepared, and sometimes people say don't overdo the casing, but I think it's better to practice enough that you're sounding a little bit robotic or something, but then it's easier to tone that down than not to be prepared enough and then try to make it great in the interview. So prepare the cases. That would be my advice.
So I have two pieces of advice. I'll try to be brief. The first one is pre-interviews. Just when you're reaching out to people and networking, I would say spend some extra time on LinkedIn and try to find people that have things in common with you. So, for example, you are all on this diversity call. If you have any interest in any particular network and you can see that someone is on there on LinkedIn, that might be a good starting point, because a lot of times with cold emails, it's just, hi, I'm interested in consulting. It's we don't feel, you know, as inclined to be able to accept every single one of those requests. But if you're able to draw a personal connection, it's gonna you know, increase your chances of really making connections with people at the firm. The second thing to that is once you do get the interview, when it comes to the behavioral portion, I think that it really shows a lot to be able to reference some of the conversations that you've had and give experiences to be able to say, you know, I had a conversation with so-and-so in the Atlanta office, and she was telling me on her first project she was able to do X, Y, and Z, and I just thought that it was, you know, great that right from the beginning you had this much responsibility or whatever have you. Says a lot more than just being like, oh, you know, I went on your website and I was able to tell this. So I think being able to phrase that you've done your homework and be able to show that in the interview is something that is really valuable.
Nicole, do you want to share a piece?
Yeah, I think just honestly be yourself. You know, you have something to offer just by who you are and what you're interested and passionate about. I think so often people try to become, you know, someone they're not because they think they need to fit a certain type or they need to, you know, come off a certain way to the firm. And I think, you know, we are, as you've heard, we've been really very proactive and really passionate about making sure that everyone can bring their best self to work. And so, you know, would love to see that as an interviewer in the interview so I know, you know, the sort of person that you could be on a project with me. So definitely be yourself.
All right.